All right, when you think about money laundering in India, your mind probably jumps to these super complex, tangled financial trails, right? But the actual starting point for any case, it's way simpler. It all hinges on one single thing, something called a scheduled offense. Honestly, without that one piece, the whole thing falls apart. So let's dive in and figure out exactly what that means. So let's start at the very beginning, the origin of dirty money. We all get the basic idea, right? Criminals get money illegally, and then they need to clean it to make it look legit. But where does that process actually start in the eyes of the law? What's the first domino that has to fall? This really is the central question, isn't it? We throw the term money laundering around constantly. But what is the dirty money? To go after the launderers, the law has to be crystal clear on what makes money dirty to begin with. And here we go. This is the official legal answer, right from the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the PMLA. The law calls it proceeds of crime. But hang on, don't just skim it. Look at that last part. You see it? Relating to a scheduled offense. That little phrase is everything. It tells us that the money isn't just from any old crime, no. It has to come from a very specific, predefined list of crimes. Which brings us right to the heart of the matter. What are these scheduled offenses? This is the core concept, you guys. If you can wrap your head around this, you basically unlock the key to understanding India's entire system for fighting money laundering.
Okay, here's the simplest way to think about it. A scheduled offense is the first domino. It's what lawyers call a predicate offense. Basically, it's the underlying crime that actually creates the dirty money in the first place. And get this, if a crime isn't on this official list, then legally there are no proceeds of crime. And that means a money laundering case under the PMLA, well, it's dead on arrival. It can't even begin.
All right, so now we're going to decode this list. And I bet you're picturing just one giant, endless list of every crime imaginable, right? Well, it's actually way more organized than that. The government has broken it down into a schedule with 3 very distinct parts, and each one has its own specific purpose. So here's our roadmap. We've got Part A, which is all about the really serious core offenses. Then there's Part B, which is interesting because it's all about a financial threshold. And last, Part C, which deals with the global connection. Let's break them down one by one. Okay, first up, Part A. You can think of this as the heavyweight category. It's a huge list of some of the most serious crimes you can think of, pulled from all of India's major criminal laws. And here's the key thing about Part A. The amount of money involved makes 0 difference. It could be 1 rupee or 1 billion. If the crime itself is on this list, it's a scheduled offense. End of story. And just take a look at the kind of crimes we're talking about in Part A. I mean, this is serious stuff. We're not talking about shoplifting here. The list covers everything from murder under the new BNS and illegally selling weapons, all the way to public servants taking bribes and financing drug trafficking. It's a really powerful reminder that money laundering isn't a victimless crime. It's often tied to some of the worst criminal activities out there. All right, moving on to Part B. Now, this one's different. With Part A, it was all about the type of crime. But with Part B, it's not just about what you did. It's about the scale. It's about the money. And this comparison really lays it all out, doesn't it? For Part A, no money limit. But for Part B, there's a magic number, 1 crore rupees. The offense only counts if the total value involved is 1 crore or more. So think about something like making a false declaration to customs. If the value is, say, 90 lakhs, it's a problem for the customs department. But the moment it hits that 1 crore mark, boom, it transforms into a scheduled offense, and suddenly the enforcement directorate can launch a full-blown PMLA case. It's a huge difference. And that brings us to our final piece of the puzzle, Part C. I mean, we all know that in today's world, money and crime zips across the globe in an instant. Borders don't mean much. So Part C is designed specifically to tackle those cases that have an international twist. So what exactly does the law mean by cross-border implications? Well, it gets pretty specific. For example, let's say one of those serious Part A crimes happens right here in India, but the criminal immediately wires the dirty money to a bank account overseas. That's Part C. Or it could be the other way around. A crime is committed in another country, but the criminal brings the illegal cash into India to try and clean it. That's also Part C. It even includes things that are very relevant today, like willfully trying to evade taxes on income or assets you've hidden abroad. So now that we've looked at Part A, Part B, and Part C, you start to see the big picture, right? This concept of a scheduled offense, it's not just another legal term. It really is the keystone. It's the one piece that holds the entire arch of a money laundering prosecution together. Look, if you remember only one thing from this entire explainer, make it this. It's as simple as an equation. No scheduled offense means there are no proceeds of crime. And if there are no proceeds of crime, there is absolutely positively no money laundering case. It's the starting gun for the whole race. If that gun doesn't fire, nobody's going anywhere.
But here's the thing. Crime doesn't stand still. It's constantly changing. As our world gets more digital, criminals get more creative in how they make and hide their money. And that raises a really critical question about this whole list we've just been talking about.
And so we're left with this final, really important question. This schedule, this list of crimes, is our main tool for fighting dirty money. But as criminals start using everything from crypto to complex digital schemes, how does this list keep up? How does this foundational document adapt so that we can still go after the profits from all these new emerging forms of crime? The answer to that, well, it's probably going to define the future of fighting financial crime.